So to start things off, my name is Rachel Fearon. I'm the operations manager here at Axle AI. I'm here to help facilitate this conversation, and joining us, we have Sam Bogoch. He's the CEO of Axle. Patrice, I always butcher your last name. Would you like to say it for the audience?
Sure, no problem. So my name is Patrice Gouttebel, VP of Product at Axel and co-founder with Sam. Thank you
All
very
right.
much all for joining.
Thanks, Patrice. And with us, we have a special guest, Scott Salik from Carpe Canum Media, joining us from Los Angeles. Thanks for joining, Scott.
Good morning.
All right. So to start things off, I believe, Sam, you have kind of a presentation you'd like to give to kind of open the conversation.
Well, I'll keep that to a minimum just because
Yeah.
I don't think anyone showed up here for a PowerPoint.
Right.
But that being said, let me just briefly summarize where we're at. Should be less than 5 minutes here. Axle AI is here to make media smarter. We've been at this for a little over 10 years. And over that time, I think the business has grown and our story has grown. I'll be talking just a bit about that. Today, we're really a complete platform for helping teams make great video. This particular image is of our new Axle Edit platform, which combines media management and collaborative browser-based editing. Patrice will be talking about that towards the end of his presentation. But across the board, you can really see us as an enabler for people who have to create high-quality professional video. In the last year, we've had some amazing new customer wins. One of them, and our biggest to date actually, was at RTM Malaysia. This is the national broadcaster of Malaysia. They needed a system with 15 sites, including a headquarters and a cloud instance of Axle, and then all these regional sites that would feed into that. So it was kind of a big distributed hub and spoke enterprise system, the kind of thing that I would say even 3 or 4 years ago, we would have not felt we were candidates to do. But again, the product has matured and evolved in such a way that even very large engagements like this one are practical and in this case, very successful. We've also seen a very diverse customer base. So here, for instance, is the Coachella Music Festival. They used Axle for the first time at their festival last year, and have a ton of older material, archives, petabytes worth of content that they are now cataloging with Axle in conjunction with the more current material that they've just captured. And we're seeing more and more of this kind of thing, like venues, events, sporting events, and leagues and teams. This has become a mainstay of our business. So that was very exciting. The RTM deployment was also hugely rewarding. And we have a bunch of impressive sounding customers, but in fact, the broad base of our customers is what's most interesting. We've had over 800 deployments of Axle so far, and many of them are small and mid-sized companies that are just in the documentary business, in the sports video business, or in the social media video business. So it's really exploding kind of in a horizontal way. Obviously, these big broadcasters are still there. Many of our team come out of Avid originally years ago. And so we're familiar with the broadcast space, but that's not growing. Broadcasters are kind of what they are, whereas this grassroots stuff is exploding. The other big trend that we've seen that I want to kind of make everyone aware of, and probably don't have to belabor it, is that you used to have months to plan out what you were doing. If it was a show, if it was a movie, it was a multi-month long process. That was already on its way to shortening during COVID. And then I'd say today people have hours to days to prepare media because of the social media turnaround times. They're like, quick, I need a spot that highlights this. One of our customers a couple of years ago was Elizabeth Warren's election campaign. We actually worked for several different campaigns in the last presidential cycle. But in her case, they had a pretty powerful system with Axle where they were cataloging all of the town hall meetings, using the transcripts to quickly search for material from the town hall meetings, and then repurposing that for social media, often in minutes or hours. The other big thing that's happened is that our team has grown substantially. So last time you looked at us, probably before COVID, we were going from maybe a half dozen to a dozen people. Today, we're 27 full-time people, and we have significant teams in Eastern Europe, in India and in Latin America, in addition to the US. These are some of the key management folks, but it really is a large and diverse team today, spanning the software development, technical support, pre-sales, and marketing. And that's it. That's kind of my little intro deck. But as I say, nobody came for a PowerPoint deck. So I think what I wanted to do is hand the baton over to Scott a little bit to talk about his business, because I think it's one of these fascinating examples of a business that probably could not have existed 5 years ago. And yet it's rocking and rolling. And so with that, over to you, Scott.
Hey, everybody. How are you today? I've been using Axle now. This is the second company that I brought Sam and the Axle team in on. So what we do currently is we produce commercials for connected TV, and connected TV is obviously the commercials in streaming television. We partnered with a company called TV Scientific, who is basically built out the best attribution platform for TV. So we can basically see from the point we expose the customer to the commercial, we can see it all the way through the purchase cycle when they buy on the web. So we can track that all the way, whether they go to Google to search after they've been exposed, whether they go to Facebook, whatever. We can track it, and then we can see what the ROAS was on that ad spend. So it's super cool technology. But what that forces us to do is be able to A/B test commercials. So we have to be able to quickly swap out, think of them as the old term donuts. We have to be able to quickly swap out the filling of a commercial in order to do quick A/B tests based on the data we're getting in from the TV Scientific platform. And we're talking about hours, not weeks or anything. We know pretty quickly if a spot is testing well. So what Axle allows us to do is using all their different technologies by tagging things, by using the AI transcription. It allows us to quickly search for footage and then get that tagged and marked in a bin in Axle, then to be able to get it to an editor, get the spots swapped, and get it to TV Side to get it on the air. So Axle provides us with this amazing capability to work fast. The other cool thing is we give clients access to Axle, and they can tag the footage, and they can, so that we know better and we know faster what they like, what shots they like, what they call specific things. They'll tag faces, things like that. We have one client who basically goes into Axle and downloads all the proxies of everything, and then cuts his own rough, and then sends us the timeline, and then we go and finish it, reconnecting all the media Axle. So it makes it really simple. We have people all over the world that access Axle, and allows us to move really, really fast. And again, I'll sound like an old person now, but I've been in the business for 40 years. And what Axle allows me to do is to work less and work quicker. And I think that's one of the great things about it. So I'll just leave it at that, Sam. And you can ask if anybody has any questions about what we do. But it's you can move so fast using Axle. It just amazes me every day when I look at what we've accomplished. It's sitting there on a Mac Mini. In our case, it doesn't take up any space. It's super amazing.
Actually, speaking of Mac Minis, Apple just announced some pretty awesome new Mac Minis this morning, along with new MacBook Pro laptops. But they basically put an M2 Pro into a Mac Mini, so it's now pretty much as fast as the Mac Studio, at least up to the highest end model. You can get a 12-core. 10 gigabit, 32 gigs of RAM Mac Mini for about $2,000, and it looks awesome. It's probably comparable to what the Mac Studio with 20 cores, because that's still an M1. Probably 70-80% of the performance of a Mac Studio at the high end for a couple $1,000, and it's a great platform for running Axle. Obviously, Scott doesn't have that one yet. I don't think anybody does, but even the M1s were pretty good. Now, we have a sentimental attachment to the Mac Mini because when we launched 10 years ago, we launched on the Mac Mini, and it was almost a joke. MAMs at that point were $1 million things, and here we were with this little, couple $1,000 thing that ran on a Mac Mini. But over time, Apple has really come through with amazing upgrades for that thing.
Yeah, we started on an old Mac Pro, I think, is what we started on at the other company, the big tower, and now literally it's just the Mac Mini. It's this big, and it makes it possible for like a company like our company, which we really started on the connected TV about a year ago, and it allows us to get into it a system that we could never get into for a really low price.
And
Cool.
also, oh, I'm sorry, for the
go ahead,
benefit of
Rachel.
anyone, for the benefit of anyone watching this later, we are answering a bunch of questions in the Q&A already. And one really good one from Larry Jordan was whether Axle supports Apple Silicon right now. So yes, and Patrice, I saw you address that. Do you want to address that verbally a little bit for anyone
Yeah,
watching?
absolutely. That is a great question. So due to the different architecture from the Apple Silicon chips versus Intel, I mean, first of all, Apple has done a great job in porting Intel code to Silicon with their Rosetta tools. And so out of the box, Axle was able to work with the M1, even if you take the old Intel interface. But that will not necessarily tap into the potential of the new Apple Silicon chip. So we are still using Apache and PHP for Intel, but all the backend processes for processing videos in images and everything else is actually native the Apple Silicon. So we have that developed for the ARM architecture that the Apple Silicon provides. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, perfect. All right, thanks.
Cool. So the other thing we should mention, and again, Patrice will touch on this in his demo, is for those who don't want to buy any hardware or buy any software and just want to try this out in the cloud, the new Axle Edit platform is a pure SaaS platform, which takes what Axle has always done on premise and brings it to the cloud along with some cool new features, specifically really detailed review and approval workflows and collaborative editing. So you can actually create a timeline, have multiple people logging in and either commenting on or even participating in the rough cut edit, and then you can bring it down to Premiere when you're done. So we think the trend, it's been an interesting thing. There's so much hype about the cloud in video, and it makes perfect sense if you're in a distribution business. If you have an archive or disaster recovery you want to put somewhere else than where you're located. But for the kind of work that we see, which is normally the ingest and production side of things, it's still a little bit too expensive and cumbersome to get everything up in the cloud. And I know, everyone wishes it would happen tomorrow, and I just want to camera to cloud. I want to, and that stuff is happening, but it's going to take a number of years for that to be viable, mostly because of the bandwidth issues and the cost issues. So what we see with our customers is that still, I would say 80+% of the material that they have is stored on premise, a little bit like that Coachella picture with all those hard drives in that office. That is not unusual. People have large RAID and NAS systems, they have SANs, but then they'll have the cloud for their work in progress and the stuff that people are uploading or downloading from the field or from freelancers. And so it's finding the right balance over time to handle both the on-premise portion and the cloud portion that we think is really the biggest challenge of the next few years.
Yeah, that sounds exactly right. We have a couple interesting questions for Scott coming in, which I think could help illustrate a little bit more about how the workflow at Carpe Canum is going and what it might look like for other people in your shoes. Scott, do you want to address a couple of these questions that have come in?
So I just answered one. It was the one about logging. Is that the one you're asking about?
Yeah, that was one about how much time is spent, tagging. We have another question about how your clients access the server. So do you want to talk about time spent and kind of how that has changed over time?
Yep. So we just did a big 6-day shoot for a pool client we have. This was a little bit bigger shoot than we usually do, but we had a script coordinator logging on set, and then she would go in the next day and tag the footage. So literally, I would come back to the office, put the footage on the server, and we were dealing with 5 cameras. So we had it was all 4K that we were shooting in, so pretty robust. And we have like a low-end Mac Mini running Axle right now, just so you know. And so I would dump everything on the server when we came back to the office, and by the morning everything was proxyized. And then the PA/script coordinator would get on about 9 in the morning and be done in 4 hours or so with everything. So it's pretty smooth. And then, like, a lot of times what the client does is they'll go and tag other stuff that maybe we didn't tag that was in the script, but they'll red light, green light, yellow light the clips to let us know which ones are their favorites, which also helps really speed things up.
Perfect.
And
how
I,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
and Sam, I'm not even sure what it's called, how we access it.
Mm.
It's just, I know I give them this address and they'll log in and it happens.
Oh, the reverse proxy stuff.
Thank you.
Yes.
So reverse proxy is actually interesting. So instead of having your Axle server behind the firewall with the port open from your firewall to redirect the internet traffic to your server directly and potentially your storage, which creates a lot of security headaches. What we do is you have actually a server in the cloud that will actually do the reverse. Basically, it is going to feed the information from your Axle server via a secure tunnel, but people are accessing it straight from the server on the cloud. So they are never going to get to your storage or your Axle server, but rather this server in the cloud, which is then serving the information from the Axle server. So it's not going forward, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, here's an important thing, like here's small business mentality on that. So basically we have Spectrum business service here, and we have crappy service in our area, although Spectrum claims it's fantastic. So we have 500 down and 40 up. And we've had multiple people in multiple locations in multiple countries on the server, and it's never burped. We've never had a problem. And that includes people downloading proxies. Sometimes we have a couple clients who'll download the full res and then grab stills, that pull stills out of the 4K footage. So, I have not had a complaint that it's slow or anything. So that's the part that amazes me.
Nice.
Cool.
Very good.
We had a question about generative AI, and that's probably the last topic we should cover before segueing into the demos. But it's been wild the last few months, obviously with ChatGPT and some of the other pretty wild algorithms that are coming out. We think it's going to be a very big deal for video and image work, and there's already plenty of examples of people like doing deep fakes and typing in, like, I don't know, chicken on the North Pole or whatever, and then it makes an image of a chicken on the North Pole. What we think is going to happen as these things evolve and mature is that they'll be like stock photo imagery, basically, but stock photo imagery that you don't have to pay for, and indeed stock video and B-roll that you don't have to pay for. And so we're going to be coming out with some I think very useful implementations of generative AI so that you can feed them into your projects. In other words, along with searching the stuff you have and maybe searching stock media sources that you have available to you, this would be like a third angle of getting media, which is make something up. I need a sunset with a car driving across it. And that's the kind of thing that you can give to a generative AI application and get back some pretty good footage, which would save you obviously going out and shooting it or buying it expensively from a stock footage company.
Yeah.
I don't know, Scott, do you have any thoughts on that? Any kind of exposure to generative AI?
As a business guy, I love it. As a creative, it just rips my heart apart. Yeah, but the good thing is that the AI stuff does not do faces very well. So, I've seen some and hands. It's not very good at hands. So
yeah, you give it another year or two. That's what we've seen with the AI functions in our stuff. Like, we're doing face recognition, object recognition, logo recognition, and we've just learned to be patient, because it's like, well, we can't quite do that this year, but with the new GPU coming out and the new algorithms coming out, like 6 months, 12 months is an eternity, and we can pretty much guarantee that it's going to get a lot better every year.
I mean, we see that on also on the data and tracking side of of what we're doing now, the TV Scientific. I mean, it changes like week to week. And we just tied in with a company who does called CallRail, right? And they're tied into the system now. So we can literally, so if someone sees your spot and then they call one of your 800 number, we can tell that they were exposed to the commercial through that 800 number. And it's real. We have clients who are like literally listening to the playback of the call to see how much that call generated tied with that exposure to the commercial. It's pretty, I mean, and we couldn't do that 6 months ago.
Wow.
Wow.
Right.
All right. Well, with that, I think we should probably hand over to Patrice, who can kind of walk us through some of the cool new stuff. For many of you, again, it's probably the first time you've seen Axle in a year or more. We understand that during COVID, you know, for the most part, there weren't trade shows. People were hunkered down doing what they were doing. And just the high turnout on today's call is indicative of, I think, the fact that people want to get back out and see what they missed. So in our case, there's quite a bit. So Patrice, over to you.
Sure thing. Thank you, Sam. And again, feel free to ask your questions and happy to tailor this presentation to your needs. First thing first, let me share my screen so that we can see what is happening. And so basically what I'm going to show you is the backend of Axle, how the interface works, and then move on from there. And one thing to note is that many of your customers or yourself have network drives that you have tons of content, but you cannot really know exactly what is in there. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but are you ever just scrolling through your whole phone to find the photo or the video that you need? Or are you actually searching based on face recognition? Now they do AI tagging, so you can search on object, etc. So that's what we are trying to do with Axle. So here I have a bunch of folders that I have asked my Axle system to index. And everything I will add to this folder, whether it is new folders, files, pictures, etc., will be automatically picked up, added to our database, and we are going to create a proxy for it. And then you will use your web browser to access the content of your drive. And it is not in a cloud per se. First, it will be locally. And that's what most of our customers are going to use Axle for. You use the web browser to access your database, simply so you can access from any device, including phone and tablet. So now I'm going to log in and see the content of these drives. And each user that you create will have access directly to their own space that you allocate them to see. So some can see only part of the drive or only one folder, etc. And you can also change the permissions. But here I am seeing the content of my drive here, the same folder structure that I have right here. You see, I have tagged them with yellow so I can find them easily. And here I have the same folder structure on Finder and on my web browser. Now I'm going to close the web browser. I'm not going to worry about the web browser. We are going to look at the Axle interface. On the left side is quick jumping to the different folders or the bins. Somebody, MacX, was asking if we support Final Cut Pro 10. So the bins will be our project areas where you can actually select in and out points of your master clip and keep that reference for your NLE of choice, including Final Cut Pro 10. We have also Premiere, and if any of you are using Avid, we do have also a AAF creation for the Avid files. So that will be the bins. You will have also on the left side the search criteria. So you have smart filters for files added recently or approved, and also the search that you create and save. And last but not least, you have the archive, whether it is archiving to tape or archiving to cloud or another drive. So the left side is really meant to jump to the area that you wish to see. But you may not always know what folder your footage is. So that's where you have the search engine. That's after all what a MAM is about, allow you to search. And you can search on multiple keywords. You can also trigger an advanced search to search on different fields, including some AI fields. or the modification date. So I can set modification date with a different range, etc. So I can create advanced search or just type my search query and I will search for Benedict right here. And boom, I jumped to 3 files. So I went through my whole drive and found 3 files, whether it is based on the file name, whether it is based on the facial recognition AI bits that we have. I will find the information. And I will just see, that's strange, actually, Benedict. Let's see what I have here for Benedict on this Formula One clip. So I have this Formula One clip going. I can scrub through the video. So remember, I mentioned that Axel is generating the previews. So I can scrub through the video, play the video, and you will see on the right side here, I have the metadata tag. So that's what Scott's customers are going to tag. They can go ahead and update their own fields. So if I have, for example, the band U2 and I have some keywords and I have date fields, drop-down menu, etc. And all this data, it will become searchable. But what you can do in addition to human tagging is also apply AI tagging. And for instance, you will see that I have face recognition in objects. And a quick note that this AI is on-premise, it is not in the cloud. So you will run this AI engine next to your Axel server. That will allow you to basically cost-effectively automatically tag your media, whether it is with object, where I want to see, for example, the bracelet, you will see the bracelet here, or the windshield wiper, as you can see. Right, I can go earphones. If I click, I will see the earphone. So you can tag objects or faces. And remember, I had Benedict Cumberbatch showed up here. If I click, indeed, he is actually giving an interview here in this clip. And here is Benedict Cumberbatch. And since it is so hard to actually spell his name, it's great that AI took care of it for me because I cannot, for the life of me, tag his name properly. But so now I was able to use human tagging, AI tagging to search on my media, and that's how we make your media smarter. But okay, object face is great, but what if I have an interview, or like we talked about the different presidential campaigns that gave a lot of speeches, do a lot of town hall meetings and other things. What you actually want to search against, what is really relevant, would be the speech. Well, let's actually do a search on Lewis, for example, Hamilton, and I will start to see some files where it will indeed appear. And I will take this file right here. And again, I will have my Axel faces where we see the 3 drivers that are giving a speech and where they appear, the object, the earring, the watch, the necklace that you can see clearly on Lewis's Hamilton's neck. But more importantly, I have the whole speech here, which appears on the right side. And that becomes searchable. And I can easily go ahead and edit the speech as I need it to, because I could potentially export my speech. But what is great is I can search on what is being said. So suddenly I have the possibility to do a Control F, the same way you do a Control F on a PDF file, but on my whole media server. And now with COVID and the lockdown, what we have done, we basically allow people to access their media from the internet. And that's what Scott's clients are doing. So if I were to open a new tab, and I will do HTTPS demo patrice.axel.ai, guess which server I'm going to access? I'm going to access the server I've been demoing it from to begin with. And here I am with the possibility to browse the media, preview the media, tag my media, perform searches, have AI information, the airplane. There we go. I jump in, I see the airplane and where it is in my clip and the actual speech. So I have all of that available from the internet. So now I work from home and I have access to my media. And if I needed to, as Scott mentioned it earlier, I can go ahead and download the media or even the proxy. And I can edit from the proxy and relink it to my master later on.
And Patrice, the good thing is
Yes,
that
Scott.
you can when you're setting up your access for people, you can limit them whether they can download the originals or not. You can
Absolutely.
limit them to just proxies.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are a couple of new features that we have added as we expanded this. So first of all, if I were to share, only users who can download original can provide a share link with the download button now. But more importantly, there is also more needs. Okay, now that's great. I have the captions. Great. I have my transcript. I can play my transcript. I can see the transcript. But there are instances where I will need to have different audio tracks. It can be different languages on the audio tracks, or I can have a multiple language transcript, right? I can have a transcript in English and a translation in French, in German, and other. And so if I were to, for example, take a look at this clip right here that I have processed, you will see that I can easily scrub through the video, but as a new feature, we have now the possibility to choose which audio track, which is, for example, the track number 2 is a German one. So instead of hearing English, I'm hearing German, but I could potentially also check multiple captions at the same time as I play the video. And you will see that I can go to the actual speech and check on the different tags. So that's a new feature from Axel. So that's great. Now I have my media indexed. Before I actually move on to the next topic, I just want to take a pause and see if there are any questions I can answer live.
Actually, there have been a ton of questions cascading in. One
Yeah,
person
exactly.
did ask, so I've been busy answering them. I've tried to keep up, but I'm falling behind. There was one good question asking about how we train for new faces. I don't know
Okay.
if it's worth taking a minute
And
and
we
just
just take
diverting
a
to show
minute.
that.
Absolutely. So basically, here is the interface that you will have. Like I mentioned earlier, we do that locally, so it's on your local network. It runs on Docker, so any good machine with GPU will do great. And here's my Benedict Cumberbatch, which I will open. And I just create a person, add sample footage, and that's it. If, say, I want to add more to improve my media, I can just go ahead here, and I think that's this one, and I look for Benedict Cumberbatch. Here we go. Too bad I do not have any new one, but we'll just take this one. If I wanted to, I could just upload and send the picture that will be added to the training media, and that's it.
Wait. Is Patrice is a Benedict fanboy? He's
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I'm
have a
like,
lot of pictures of him.
But who isn't? Yeah.
absolutely. You got me, Scott. So anyway, so here I was showing you Benedict because that's the model, that's a face I was using for my demo, and you will see the people. But that's basically how you will go, and I will have Bill Gates, Jimmy Fallon's, Steve Jobs, and I could perform the exact same search. So now I'm exiting this training interface, which is directly linked to the Axel AI. And if I were to search on Bill Gates, for example, I will be able to, again, find a clip and media based either on a file name, or if I were to take this very old D5 conference here clip, loading the clip, it's a 90-minute clip, but I'm able to see what is being said here and where Bill Gates and Steve Jobs appear. I can go ahead and improve the model as well. Here I can select these two and assign to Bill Gates. And here we go. And I will assign these two new faces to Bill Gates. And that will add to the model so I can continue to improve and so on. So that's how you would train. Great. That's one aspect. So AI help me tag, help me find my media, but okay, that's great. I can access my media. What can I do with it? Well, let me actually show you, for example, a Premiere panel where I can go and just browse my Excel bit straight here into my Premiere panel. And you will see that I'm accessing it from the reverse proxy, which means that as I work from home and as I have actually access to Excel, I can just easily search for my clip with Benedict. And when I found it, I could potentially just go ahead and bring and import it into my project. And same thing with the bin. And here's my project. If I did not have access to the storage, I would be able to download the media into my project, which is another feature we have added to the Adobe panels during the COVID lockdown, where everybody had to basically work from home. I mean, let's face it, you're a video editor, you cannot really carry your sound in a backpack to bring it home, right? And what about the other editors? So we needed an efficient way to provide access to the media. So are you able to download the transcript? Absolutely. I see that question. So while we're at it, I'm going to go back to this file. So if I were to search on Benedict, let's quickly show you what we have. I will take this one, and you will see that I have my Axel speech right here, and I can download an SRT file, which I will be able to then bring to my Premiere project. Now, it's not the best for captioning, again, because it's AI generated. You will probably want to correct it, but if you wanted to, you can then bring the caption straight into your sequence. And here I am. I have my caption ready. So that's one way you could do it. You will see that we also bring the captions generated by Axel as markers inside Premiere, which will allow you to search against it as well. Okay, so that is the Adobe panel. We do also have a panel for Photoshop, After Effects, Illustrator, etc. So the whole Adobe cloud. Oh boy, there is a lot of questions. It's hard to keep up, but I love it, guys. Thank you very much. So as Patrice said about transcription, do this feature worked in an offline local environment? So you can transcribe from anywhere, whether you're accessing it from outside, because you're tapping directly into the Axel server that is in the office. So even if I were to go here from this local network, I could analyze this video with the different engines that exist. These are a few we have integrated with, including Speechmatics and Video Indexer. And you can basically analyze the video because you're making a request on the local server that is Axel, even if you're accessing remotely, and even our local server as well, local machine learning server. Can the caption be used for Vimeo, for instance? I'm not entirely sure how Vimeo works. SRT is fairly standard. You will use the iTunes transcript, the ITT for Final Cut Pro 10. SRT is very standard. It works on VLC, Premiere Pro, etc. So maybe a way to do that.
Yeah, I can answer. I'm answering a bunch of those speech-related questions, Patrice. So I think
Sounds good.
I can keep going on that.
Absolutely. Matt has asked about the Final Cut Pro 10. So let me just quickly go back to the bin where I will take, for example, the car shoot, and I'm just going to create an FCPX panel, which is going to download, and that is going to create a new event. And in this event, I will have the keyword replace. Now we'll have the keywords here, keyword collections, which are basically what I will use to have the in and out points, and I can bring into my project. In terms of the panel, we do have a application, actually, rather than a panel, a companion app that you will be able to use to connect to your Axel system, search, and again, bring your media to wherever you need. So if I wanted to bring it to this car shoot, for example, this, again, the same clip here, I will be able to drag and drop it straight into my Final Cut Pro project, and here is the clip, or same thing with DaVinci Resolve. It's act as a finder. Okay, so that was Axel AI, Premiere Panel. Actually, when I say Premiere Panel, Adobe Panel, and the companion app to integrate directly with other tools and softwares. It's really like Finder. If I wanted to, I could bring it straight into the desktop as a copy. And again, if I'm accessing remotely and I do not have access to the storage, it will ask you to download the file. So again, thinking of the people who are working remotely. Now, moving on. there are other items you can do with Axle AI. And we have a workflow automation tool that basically allows you to create scripts without coding. And I can call any of these projects here from my Axle system. For instance, if I were to go back here to my Axle and I will take another footage like this interview, for example. Here's the interview. I will be able to select my in-and-out points here from the video player and send it to connector and the trim clip, for example. And I will send it. What is going to happen is we are going to go through the whole process here, this workflow, and based on different rules that I have applied in my scripting, it will be done. And you will see that I have code FFmpeg to transcode with the in and out points. And if I were to go back to my Finder window, and I go to Documents, Connector Output, you will see that I have this new file created 8 megabits only. That's basically the trim from the in and out points that I have created. So that's connector. Basically, you can pretty much custom buttons of Axle with connector, and it's meant to be used by anybody. Technically speaking, customers will not see this. They're only going to see the different buttons in Axle. But as system integrators, resellers, or even customers, some of them actually do have a coding mind and they will want to take it on. They'll be able to take over and create their own workflows with it, their own diagram. And there is quite a few functions that I can go through. So accessing databases, data manipulation, file manipulation, movie rendering, etc. Is there a Dropbox API? What I have done is simply copy to my own Dropbox account here, and that will automatically integrate with Dropbox. That being said, connector is fully open with an SDK that allows anybody to develop their own modules within connector. It's open, it's all Java based, and we have an SDK. So that's something that you could potentially do there. I hope that answers your question, Martin. Already, so that was connector. I could spend hour on it, but what I think might be best is that we move on and we can do other sessions with connector. Let me move on now to Axle Edit, because I showed you how you can index your on-premise storage. And what I'm going to do is now swap my, it's funny, I have actually way too much happening here. I'm going to swap browser to jump to Axle Edit. So Axle Edit is MAM in the cloud that will allow you to edit as well. But in addition to that, some of our customers want full cloud, some want full on-prem, but other will want hybrid. And to do so, you simply connect to your Axle server via the reverse proxy like I have done here. And guess what? I have access to my media and I can bring it into my cloud system if I needed to. But now suddenly I have not only access to my cloud bucket, but I have also access to my media from this platform. I'm going to skip over the indexing process. Basically, you just drag and drop to upload. It goes straight to the cloud bucket. You can also index your own buckets if needed. You have external buckets here, just like I have done here with Backblaze or Wasabi or Seagate Live or another S3 bucket. Any S3 compatible bucket will do. But basically, you can preview this clip here. Just like in the Axle on-premise, I will have the possibility to preview the clip. I can tag, create my own set of custom data field, just like with Axle. But on top of it, I would be able to have a much more advanced review and approval workflow that I have with on-premise. So the SaaS is really meant to be in the cloud. I need to talk to my customers or collaborate with my team. And here I have a whole commenting section where I can respond. We have threaded response. We can check box to mark as a task as complete. But more importantly, you can have more than one person's approval. So I have here 2 persons that approved and a third one that has rejected. So I can see all of that. You can still tag your media with in and out points and make it searchable, just like you can with Axle. So I can have my little markers here. You can still use AI, nothing is resting on the traffic, but we do have the possibility to transcribe the file just like you can with Axel AI and make it searchable. And you can see if the file has ever been shared, if the file has been used in sequences. Why do I talk about sequence? Well, because this tool is great for editing. And what I'm going to do here is just go and open this sequence. And here's the video editor. And we have our proprietary, our own codec for editing. Excuse me on that. Our own codec that will allow you to basically edit from the web browser without latency, without delay. And guess what? I can have more than one person review this sequence. So it's like Google Doc, but for video editor. I have another browser open with a different person. You will actually see that two people are connected here. And I'm just going to access this panel right here. And now you will see two people are in the panel and in the sequence. And I can scrub through and see whatever is happening. And I'm going to move this away and you will see where I am. And the person will see where I am here as well. So you can basically track where each person is. And we can post comments. Update color, for example. There is a new task that I have posted here as to update the color. And this person will be able to see this. Okay, I need to update the color. Let's do that. I'm going to update the effects and just change the colors. I'm going to make it not super great, but you will get the idea. And the person will be able to see live what is happening. If I were to move anything in a sequence, I can go and see that the sequence I've moved here as well. There is no more delays and no more waiting. So instead of making your video, exporting the video, sending it up to actually get the approval and comments, receiving said approval or comments, making new changes, re-uploading the video, etc. Just saying it is actually sounds like I'm wasting time. You can do everything live here. And very good question from Chris, which is, can you export Axel Edit to Premiere? Yes, indeed you can. You can generate a XML here that is compatible with Premiere. Better yet, we are working on a Premiere panel that will allow you to browse and import the sequence and recreate a new sequence into Premiere. The same sequence with audio track and everything, audio and video track and placement and transition. So everything there. So I hope that answered your question, Chris. That's a great answer. Great question. And yeah, a great answer if I should say so myself. Anyway, moving on. So that's the editing part. And now we had a question. Somebody talked about actually doing classes and publishing to Facebook. Do know that there is the possibility to export video and publish, and you can choose where you publish it, whether it is Vimeo, YouTube, and Facebook and TikTok. We are working on all of that. I'm going to skip the boring aspect of rendering and doing all of that, but do know that you have this possibility. Why do you need a MAM when you edit your video? Well, let's say that I need to add a new clip, and I'm just going to say car clip here, and I'm going to perform a search, and I will find different things. Let me correct my search clip, and here we go. And I want to include some new footage, such say, for example, the dashboard. I already have the dashboard. I've used this video clip a lot. So let's actually use door handle here. I can go ahead, and even if it is external, I can go ahead and bring it over my sequence and start to make changes. Let's say that I do that. I can, of course, reduce it. I can scrub through it. Notice there is no latency, and the other person can, again, see the changes live, and I can see no need to wait. Everything is happening live, and I will be able to add a transition or an effect. Dissolve. And here we go. Again, no need to wait on that. It's just showing up. So that is Axel Edit, literal Google Docs for video editors. Now there are other things that you can do. You can create review links. So let me actually take these two links here, these three links, and I'm just going to share them. You can add people to this link. I can, for example, add this other person that I'm working with and so on, and even Sam. And I can invite external clients as well to review, but I'm going to create this link. Notice I did not have a chance to show you, but you can also protect by password, set the expiration date, and choose who can download or not the clip. And that's what it's going to look like. Basically, here's my footage, and I can preview the footage, download it if I want, if I had the authority to post comments. And so that's how the review and approval workflow is being used, and to change the approval or not, which means that going here, I would be able to see the hello there comment posted by me, and the approval here, Patrice approved it, where the other person got a notification that I have a link to review. Actually, going back here, I have also this notification here. Let me view this link, and I can go and I can see what is being said and reply. Copy. And here we go. And I can go ahead and reject the clip myself. That's how you will have the multiple level approval that I have shown you earlier. So that was Accelerated, our cloud platform that does MAM, video editing, review and approval, and publish to social media. There is a lot more to show you, but we are getting close to the end of the webinar, and I want to make sure we answer every question. So I'm going to pause a moment and give back the microphone to Sam.
Thanks, Patrice. I think that was a lightning tour, so much appreciated. We had more than 60 questions while you were doing that, so we were cranking away in the background. I understand Scott has a hard stop in 5 minutes, so let's see, maybe what we could do is just kind of summarize and then hang around and answer more questions if need be. Obviously, it's been a great level of involvement here.
And
Scott,
anybody can email any questions they have. Rachel can give out my email address, and you can just reach right out to me and I'll answer the questions, or set up a Zoom and I can answer any questions you might have. Thanks, Scott. I mean, one thing also, we at Axle are pretty self-evident with our emails. I'm just Sam at axle.ai. Rachel is Rachel. Patrice is Patrice. Even though we have 27 people, we have no name overlap yet. So each person is just first name at axle.ai. And if you're sending an email, it is AXLE, not AXEL. We still occasionally get that confusion. Also, boy, the chats and questions are continuing to come in. So as I say, we will stick around to answer those. Overall, it's been a fantastic session, really great way to kick off the year here. I think we are going to do some deeper dive sessions on connector. We're going to do some sessions with integration with various cloud and storage partners. There are also some really cool things that we've done with ingest vendors like EVS, MOG, and Softron. So if you're thinking about capturing stuff from a live feed, adding metadata to it, and then putting it into a MAM, that's actually something we've gotten pretty handy with over the last couple of years. Are you guys tied in with OpenReel? We have worked with them a little bit. We don't have an API level integration, but they can capture into a folder that we catalog. Okay. But that's another example of an interesting capture app for sure. And of course they boomed during COVID because everyone wanted to do remote shoots. And I know you used it quite a bit as well. Yeah, we use it a lot. We're still using it. All right, guys, thank you very much. I've got to drop off. I got just a hard out. So happy New Year to everybody. And thanks for letting me spend the time with you.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Scott. Bye.
Thanks. All right, so maybe we can just tend to the Q&As. Looks like we've actually managed to hammer away at those.
There were two questions that I think I would like to address live, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
There was a question asking if a user needed to be a Axle edit user in order to review and approve. No, actually, the goal is to be able to share, and you can invite other people that will not have an account. They will not need to create an account. They will simply need to enter their name and email address, so that when you go to the report of your link, if I wanted to check the report here, I'll be able to see who viewed the link, who connected, who posted comments, and who downloaded, etc. So just to keep track. But otherwise, a external person does not need to have an account with Accelerated to preview the link, and it will not take a seat. You will not need to pay for a seat in order to invite external clients. that was one of them. There was another question about syncing multiple camera files together. This is still on the roadmap and not at the moment possible, but this is a great feature that will be great to add. I had another question about burning time code and file name into the sequence. That's a very good question. There is a text feature that you can add, just like I have here. You will see on my sequence a text feature right here. That will allow me to basically add text and change the font and everything else. Now, that is pretty static. That will not do for timecode, but for adding the file name or any other text, that will work just fine. Adding the timecode burning is a very good feature that we should basically look into. So these are the questions that I have been answering that I thought deserve a little bit more time live. Let's see. Oh boy, there's so much.
But I do think we were able to plow through those, and we
Oh
are
my
at
goodness,
the
yeah.
hour. So maybe what we should just do is wrap here, give people give people the rest of their morning back. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. It's really been tremendous. I think this set a new record for a number of questions on one of our webinars. So thank you for all the engagement and in-depth interest. We'll shoot out the recording as a follow-up for those that weren't able to attend, and feel free to contact us absolutely anytime. Really looking forward to a great year here, and going to be also, of course, coming out with announcements with further developments of the products and our overall roadmap, which I think.
Yeah, and this is a great
those
question from Matt as well. Whether Axle Edit is our future or both platforms going forward.
It
Okay, and
actually,
that goes to the roadmap question. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Indeed.
we are planning to go ahead, Patrice.
No, please, Sam. I stole your thunder once. I'll let you take that one.
No, it's okay. Well, suffice to say that we are converging these into one platform over the next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we love the ability to deploy on premise and the lightweight aspects of our current product. Axle Edit has a whole bunch of next gen capabilities. It's a little hard to squeeze onto an on-premise deployment right now. But as just one example, it uses MongoDB for a highly scalable backend. And so if you get into the millions and millions of assets where Postgres may begin to max out, it would be nice to have that architecture going forward. So we will be building this out into a single integrated platform. There's already ways to use Axle on-prem and Axle Edit together. So you can search your on-premise materials from the cloud. But I think what we have in mind is more of a one platform where you just kind of set some configuration switches depending on how much of it you want running locally and how much of it you want running in the cloud. And actually, just as we wrap up, Neil Blake is joining us. He's in charge of a lot of our larger integrations and is currently down in Argentina with our team there. Neil, I think it's good enough to just wave hello, probably. But Neil's
You're appearing like a villain after the credits of a Marvel movie. You're disappearing at the end.
Yeah, I've had a pretty busy morning.
Yeah, I can imagine. No. So Neil's reachable at neil@axle.ai. We also have Nick Morgan has joined us for APAC. He's Nick at Axle AI, and Yogesh Sardana for India, Yogesh at axle.ai. So we've got you covered pretty much worldwide these days, and we have 24/7 support as well.
Great.
Okay, sounds great. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you very much for the great questions. Do know that you can actually just check out Axle Edit by simply going to axleedit.com. It's AXLEDIT.com, and you can sign up for a free account and play with it and see. Hopefully, you will like it. You have a limited storage, but you can already use it to upload, share, and have in-depth approval. Everything we showed you is available under the free account, so you can play with the browser editor, etc.
Thanks, Patrice, and thanks, Rachel, for hosting. Appreciate everybody taking their time, and have a great day.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.